In light of the Reserve Bank's interest rate cut decision, we've decided to ask some of our colleagues here at SABC News what this means for them, whether the 25 basis point decrease will make much of a difference to them and what their expectations are from the central bank. Let me hand over to my colleague Liabo Setho. Liabo, very good afternoon. Where are you in the building? And it's over to you.
Hello, Nompu. I am on the second floor of the SABC News TV block building. This is where you and I sit. We are news gatherers outside of our time on air, and we thought that we would engage our own colleagues about their own experiences of the interest rate cut. We know that yesterday those interest rates were cut by the Reserve Bank, the MPC unanimously agreeing on a quarter of a percentage cut, that's 0.25% percentage point. And I thought that let me bring in our colleagues. So let's hear from newsmakers themselves and news gatherers, because before we are journalists, we are also consumers. We also suffer from the same economic conditions that we find that our audience and other people, ordinary households do. And with me here, I have Mpumelelo Maphalala. He is one of our markets producers for radio. Mpumelelo, thank you so much for your time. Firstly, maybe tell our viewers what you do here. There is a familiar screen there behind you. Tell them what you do here and what you make of the interest rate cut. Is it enough when you think of your own personal circumstances?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. So what I do on a daily basis is I look at the markets and I try and analyze what's going on, whether it's from a South African point of view or from an international point of view. As you mentioned, in terms of interest rates, I think the governor was trying to be very cautious in terms of where we're going. I know the day before yesterday, America had cut their interest rates by 50 basis points. So I think many of us thought that we might also get a 50 basis. But I think for them, because of they having a very red job market, and the job market was bleeding with unemployment going above 4%, it was time for America to decrease interest rates by that, because they were even calling for an emergency cut rate last month. And I believe that South Africa was trying to at least be cautious, because we're also an inflationary country. So we import inflation as well, because we're a net importer. So to try and stabilize the country going forward, we needed to cut at least in a modest rate.
Yeah. You also look at the performance of the rand and other currencies. How has the rand responded to this latest cut?
So yesterday we saw a strengthening of the rand, reaching a high of I think about 17.45 rand against the US dollar. But unfortunately, the reverses the gains had a reverse, and we saw the rand now trading at 17.57. And I think one of the reasons is, a lot of investors are looking to earn on gold, because gold this morning hit an all-time high of $2,600 an ounce. Yeah. So I think it's one of the measures that people are looking towards safe haven assets to get a return on that as well. Right. But because the U.S. open markets are still closed, they might open in the afternoon, we might see the rand actually reversing and starting to gain again.
Once again, Mpumelelo, thank you so much. This is Mpumelelo Maphalala. He is one of our market producers. Nompu, right now, the newsroom is a little bit empty, simply because at this time, normally as news gatherers and journalists, we are out and getting stories, and we come back a little bit later to find out what's the best way to get those stories to you and the public, so that you know what is happening all the time. We are now on the sports section, and another familiar face in front of me is Fiso Ramara. Thank you very much, Fiso. I did say that I'd come and visit you. We had a nice debate, you and I, yesterday about the interest rates, and you made an expression that 25 basis points is very little and doesn't make an impact in your particular circumstances. Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, I had everyone celebrating to say it's the first interest cut rate in 3 years, and we were all happy, and I was very keen to find out what's happening. That's why I came to you, and after the calculations that you made, that's too little, but you also went on to say we should expect 2 more cuts between now and January. Yeah. But for now, this is just too little.
Yeah. If we have the cumulative, let's say 75 basis points, as some of the analysts are saying, by first quarter of next year, what would this mean for your finances at home?
Yeah, Liabo, I must admit that things are tough for everyone. I mean, things are extremely tough for all South Africans. So if, yeah, as a so-called professional, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I mean, people are sinking in debt. And you cannot exclude me from that. So let's hope, with more or further 2 cuts, that will come in as a big relief.
Sfiso, thank you so much. As what Sfiso is saying, Nompu, is true, is that we as professionals are also feeling the pinch a lot because we have debts as well, and we cannot be exempt from the pinch that everyone else is feeling. And the reason we have come down here on the news floor is that we just wanted for you to get a view from us as well as news professionals. And I am with Kylie Kumalo here, and to get his views, Kylie Kumalo is also a familiar face that you may know. Kaya, thank you so much for your time. What do you make of the basis cut that was done yesterday, the interest rate cut that was done yesterday? What difference does it make for you as a professional, a news professional?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Liabo. So, I mean, I hope it does make an enormous difference because, as consumers, we're really overburdened. I mean, oftentimes you guys, you always say, tighten the belt. And I'm always like, well, there's no belt to tighten. So hopefully, really, this is going to really help us because really, it's very tough out there. I mean, it's like a global cost of living crisis. So, so I hope it's going to give us a room to breathe a little.
Yes, definitely. A room to breathe in is what we are all looking out for. This current cut may have been quite modest when you look at the saving that one is talking about. When you look at the calculations that we've done, when you look at a 1 million rand bond, for instance, you'll only be making a saving of about 173. And experts would now tell us whether this 173 is something that you continue paying into your bond or your debt, or do you save it, or what do you do with it? But we will find out later from experts that I believe you'll be having also throughout the day, Nompu, to tell us how best to use the saving that we have gotten from the latest interest rate hike. And with that, I hand over back to you upstairs in studio.
Thanks very much, Liabo. Very interesting to get the colleagues' views on the latest interest rate cut.